I got a big head and I got a big ass. What means you die?
What's going on, guys? Logan JYA here, and in my hands with me right now I've got a $100 bill. And you know what we're going to do with this $100? We're going to build a super strong anti-meta deck that can absolutely annihilate some of the strongest meta decks in the current format, all for under $100. I know a lot of people have done budget deck profiles before, and they're usually taking like a decent archetype and making it worse. Right now, we're taking an archetype that you can get in at the ground level, and it's really only going to run you $100, and it's a super strong anti-meta pick, alright? Don't try and imitate the best deck and do it poorly. Build a really strong rogue deck that can obliterate all the best decks. This is the way. If you guys want to play a deck that's strong enough to tilt even the most veteran of players, then look no further, my friends. Let's hop into this budget under $100 true Draco deck profile. Let's get it. What's going on, guys? Logan JYA here, and that's right, you heard me right in the intro, you read that title correctly. We are building a super strong anti-meta deck that runs you under $100. That's right, this is going to be one of your best budget options if you're really balling on a budget, want to get into Yu-Gi-Oh, or you know, you just don't have the payroll to really pay for a meta deck, or you're saving up to build a meta deck and maybe you're, you know, while you're setting money aside, you still want something to play. This is a phenomenal option that can steal games and matches off of all the tier 1 decks right now. We've got a whole bunch of hard counter cards, super hard floodgates in this list that I think you guys are going to really dig. So if I showed you guys a deck that you can play for under $100, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's hop into this deck profile. Here we go. Alright guys, we're going to go into the monster lineup. Again, this is going to be a 40 card main deck clean. We've got 2 copies of Dynamite. This is of course one of the lifeblood monsters of the deck, currently at 2 on the ban list. Whenever your opponent activates a card, you get to chain its effect, get a free trap card. Really, really strong, and you can get these cards for about like 25 cents a copy for the super rares. Moving on from there, we've got 2 copies of the Ignis Heat. Honestly, if I had 3, I'd probably play 3 of this, but there's another card we're playing in here that kind of circumvents that, so I'll point that out later when we get to it. This card's about $1 a pop, maybe $1.50, and it's really good because it grabs spells in response to any of your opponent's cards. And like all true Draco monsters, you can tribute spells and traps to summon them, which trigger their grave effects. And moving on from there, we're playing 2 copies of the Majesty's Maiden. So we're playing 2/2/2 for the true Draco names. This one you can literally get for like 10 to 20 cents a copy for the super rares. And yeah, this one searches monsters, so it grabs you Dynamite or Ignis. Really, really good. So again, super small monster lineup. We make up for it a little bit later in the deck. But I will say that that's one of the trickier parts, I could say, and I can maybe see a case for playing like triple Ignis, triple Majesty if you really want to see names. So just putting it out there as another option you might want to explore. Again, they're super cheap cards, so if you want to order the play sets, it's going to be maybe 30 cents more, maybe like $2 more max if you get 3 of each copy instead of 2. Moving on from there into the spell lineup, we got triple copies of the Heritage. This card's awesome. It lets you recycle cards from your graveyard. It's like a little mini Pot of Avarice. You shuffle back true Draco cards from the grave, draw 1, and the common of this one will run you maybe like 25 cents to 50 cents, I think. So really, really cheap. Moving on from there, we got triple copies of the Heritage. This one's a bit more expensive, actually. I think it's like $1 a pop minimum, but this card's really, really cool. Depending on the amount of true Draco cards that left your side of the field and were sent to the graveyard, so say you tribute over a spell and a trap in one turn, you activate this card's effect, you can draw 2 cards. And this, just like Disciples, gives you an extra tribute summon, which is really, really strong. So, yep, mandatory 3 of. Moving on from there, this is the unfortunate part and the thing that really curbs this deck from being better than it is. This is why I say it's really only a strong anti-meta pick. It's never really going to be meta until it gets something back off the ban list. But Dragonic Diagram, this card right here is one of the most powerful field spells ever printed, no joke. You guys can ask, there's a reason why this card's at 1. It pops a card, and then it lets you search a true Draco or a true King. It also provides battle protection and extra attack points. Don't forget about those things. It's going to run you about $3 a copy for this card, but you only need 1, so there you go. That card used to be $60 or $70 back in the day. You can look it up if you don't believe me. Moving on from there, 2 copies of the Mystic Mind. Now, a lot of our budget went into this card, I gotta let you guys know. But that's because this is a demon card, okay, guys? This card's absolutely insane. It's another potential field spell to search. And in fact, in earlier drafts of this build, I was also playing a card called Set Rotation. So it's really easy to pop the Mystic Mind if you give it to your opponent and you grab Diagram. So I was like, okay, cool, an extra copy of Diagram. I actually cut it to make room for a different card, which I'll talk about later, but I kept in the Mystic Minds because I thought it was a cool going second option to have. It's searchable off your Terraforming and your Metaverse. So again, a complete demon card. If this was a little too high out of budget for you, you're trying to cut it even lower than $100, you probably cut these for more Floodgates or more hard trap cards. Moving on from there for the spells, 1 Terraforming mandatory to go with your Diagram. It's going to cost you maybe 20 cents for a common. Then we got 3 POTE dualities. If you want commons of this thing from like, a quarter to like 50 cents to 75 cents, really cheap, really cool card that lets you dig 3 deep. It's basically what Prosperity was before Prosperity existed. This card's an absolute classic. And again, I brought out this copy in particular because I thought it was nostalgic, right? So we got like the cheap, I have a damaged common here. And then over here, we've got the Secret First Edition from D-Rev way back in the day. This card used to be hundreds of dollars, and now it is nothing, and you can get these for quarters. So if you want to play them in this deck, as you should definitely pick them up. Moving on from there, we've got 2 copies of POTE Desires, right? So of course we want to play some draw cards in this deck. That's one thing that True Draco was always famous for, is all the draw cards we got to play. We're playing a 6-card package draw engine. POTE Desires for like the rare, I think it's maybe going to run you $1 a copy, so you only need 2. Pretty chilling there. And then of course you got your 1 copy of the Card of Demise. This is another card that got put on the ban list, which was kind of a hit to True Draco because it was the deck that abused it the most. But, I mean, it reads draw 3. So we're playing a full 6-card draw package, and not counting True Draco in our typo cards, which also allow you to draw. It's really good. It's really strong. And this is only going to run you $2 to $3. Now we get into the meat and potatoes, baby. We get into the trap cards. So starting things off, we got triple copies of the True Draco Apocalypse. Absolutely insane card. It lets you tribute summon on the opponent's turn, and it also has a really cool damage step effect where you can pop another face-up True Draco card you control, and then half the opponent's monster's attack points. You can actually do this at any time, not just in the damage step. And you can use it to trigger your spells and traps effects in the graveyard, whether you need to pop a card or pop a spell and trap. Apocalypse is really clutch for doing so. Just remember, your opponent's got to have a monster to do it. Moving on from there, we got triple copies of the True King's Return. That's right. This card's like kind of a continuous Monster Reborn. It lets you keep bringing back your names from the grave. I mentioned earlier how we don't have a lot of monsters in deck, but even when they get into the graveyard, you can recycle them with your spell card, Disciples, or you can bring them back off of True King's Return and just continue to apply pressure. Now, mind you, when you bring them back off return, they will not have their effects, but that's okay. You're just going to use them as beaters. Now, like I said, back on that same topic of not playing too many monsters. By the way, the True King's Return is like $2 a piece, I think. Yeah, like $2 a piece on this guy. Next card is the Waterfall of the Dragon Souls. So this is our copies 7 and 8 of monster cards. Basically, it lets you search a worm monster as a trap card, and it has another cool effect where if you have too many monsters in hand, you can send them to grave to draw cards. So, and you also, you break even for it, and you actually get to draw an extra card, I believe. Yeah, you get to draw an extra card off of it, so it's pretty good. It replaces itself, right? So it ends up being a break-even card. This is 10 cents a copy for a common, and it's really good. If you wanted to, you could cut them for two more names, like another Ignis and another Majesty. Either way works. Moving on, this is where a lot of our budget went, guys. This is where a lot of the money went, but had to be in the skill drains. Another demon card, just like the Mystic Mind. You want to win games for free? You slap down the skill drain. There's a lot of times where the opponent just won't have the out, and you're like, well, I guess I got the win. And this card's going to run you minimum like $10 a pop. So, I mean, you can probably find some cheaper. Look at locals. Probably get them for maybe like 15 for a playset. If you can squeeze something out like that, then you should be in a good situation. But letting you guys know that this is where a lot of the budget went here, but you need to play it. Really, really strong. If you couldn't play it, I'd just play another generic Floodgate. But you also get to play another 3 additional copies of Skill Drain in the form of Monarch's Erupt, and this copy is only 10 cents a piece or something like that. So this is absolutely awesome because it's just another Skill Drain while you control Tribute Summon monster, and all of your True Dracos end up being Tribute Summoned, so you just negate everything. Very, very free, very, very cheap, like 10-cent card, perfect. Moving on from there, we've got triple copies of Solemn Judgment. A little bit of money went in this one, I think like maybe $2 to $3 copy, can't really remember, but super duper cheap. by comparison for what it does, sometimes it's good to have a non-searchable Omni-Negate counter trap, you know what I mean? So you use it to back up things like your skill drain, back up your boards. It's really crucial in games 2 and 3, so it's definitely worth budgeting for that card. And then of course, the last card we play is the 1-of copy of Metaverse. It's another copy of Mine or of Diagram. So that is it for the main deck. And one way we're saving a lot of money here is that we don't have an extra deck. We don't need it. We'd rather play Monarchs or Ruck than have an extra deck. It's that simple. So obviously we're saving money on that front. And then let's get into this side deck, and you can see some of the choices. I'll also point out things I would do if we had more money in our budget in the side deck, but without further ado, let's hop into it. Starting things off with triple copies of Raigeki. Even this card costs a little bit right now. It's going to be like $2 to $3 a copy, which kind of blew my mind, right? Like, that's just for, like, you know, supers or golds or something. But, yeah, this card is cool. It just blows up monsters. There's a lot of decks where that can just be perfect. You set them back that turn, and this is enough. Or you're playing against a deck like Flunderiz, you out the M-Pen. Not like that's a hard matchup, but this is generic board wiping. At worst, it baits a negation, and it combos well with some of your other cards that can be popping as well, like your True Draco traps. So I thought as a budget option, it's a good choice. There's a lot of other things you can do, and again, I'll mention some of the other ones that cost a bit more money when we get to them. I also want to flag the third Mystic Mine. I budgeted this one in earlier because I knew we were going to be playing all three. The last copy is on the side. Another good going second option. Moving on from there, here's another big money item, okay? And you can cut this one for something cheaper if you really wanted to. But I wanted to give this a shot. Triple copies Dimension Shifter. So it's another card you can bring in when you're going second, and it's just a big blowout, right? You can even bring this in going first if it's favorable in the matchup and absolutely blow the opponent out of the water, just because it's a pseudo floodgate. And if they can't play under Shifter on their first turn, then that's great. You get to establish your full control of the game when your turn rolls around, and you really can go a turn without needing grave effects. It's not a big deal at all, actually. So Shifter is huge. Moving on after that, we've got two Kaijus. It can be kind of whichever Kaijus you want. It doesn't really matter which ones you choose. I went with the Wind one in case, I don't know, like, if we wanted to Kaiju a Flunder player, I don't know. You really can go with whichever one. You know, with Gamma Seal, but I think he's a bit more expensive. This one's like 25 cents a copy, so I wanted to go with one of the cheaper ones. I think you can get the Thunder King one that's kind of got a big amount of attack points, like 3K over 3K. That one's like 13 cents a copy, so you can get those. And then the whole point is, no matter what you get, just popping them with your Draco spell and traps. It's probably more optimal to go for Gamma Seal, because then you can just swing over it with any True Draco. But hey, I'm just putting things out there, okay? Because that guy's only got 2200 attack. Now, mind you, if the budget allowed for it, I would have put in some sphere modes, but I felt that our current choices were a bit more important. Didn't really want to cut back from the budget, just went for the Kaijus. Moving on from there, again, this one's a bit up there. It's like a couple bucks per copy. Triple copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance, a great going verse card that blows out half the meta. You really want to slow them down, then you pick apart their back row with True Draco spell effects. And then the last card we play in the main deck is There Can Be Only Fun, an insane floodgate. You guys already know. Now, you may already be saying, Logan, this conflicts with our main strategy. All of our guys are worms. And I'll say, okay, just sit on one of them. If There Can Be Only One is doing the work against the opponent, then that's good enough for you, and you can win with one monster. If it's not putting in the work, then tribute it for a True Draco monster, and you're being chilling. Alright? So that is it for the main deck. We got 40 card main deck, 15 card side deck, all strong choices that you can take advantage of and build a seriously strong anti-meta deck for under $100. But if you don't believe me, stick around because I'm going to show you guys some replays. Mix of Dueling Book, YuGiOh replays, all that good stuff. I'm going to show it to you right now. Let's get to it. Alright guys, we're starting things with the replay that kind of started it all, where I was playing this deck and we had a whole bunch of watchers and some people who weren't taking kindly to me playing True Draco instead of Drytron. But hey, it's all in good fun, and we're actually playing against one of the most obnoxious decks of all time, that being Flunderiz. And we absolutely obliterate him, so it's going to be good. Now, I will flag in this match that we actually are testing on a few different cards from before making the cutbacks to $100, but we were definitely still winning. regardless. This is actually a really good matchup for True Draco, not gonna lie. So he's going off doing the standard play, setting up the standard board, nothing crazy here. He does do some mind-boggling stuff though later, which I actually think is going to be kind of cool to see. But of course we open up quite strong. We go for the diagram. He uses his trap. He's triggering all of his effects, you know, doing the annoying thing that the Flunders do. And he sets up the Ryza. Oh, yuck. How cooked am I? Let's find out. Alright, he resolves everything. Bing, bing, bong. He leaves the diagram. This blew my mind. So I'm like, alright, cool. Diagram effect. Get Ignis. Effective Apoc. Pop the M-Pen. Tribute summon. Effective return. Pop the barrier. Now he will get a summon because I did trigger the map. But that's alright, bruv. That's alright because we're going to get our boy Ignis to do his thing. We draw into a Dynamite, get to pop his map, and start going in for big damage. Now we've got control of this game. We've got this by the nuts. So he's going to go Pot of Prosperity. This whole time I'm fearing like a main deck Lightning Storm or something, but we're still going to start generating cards. And he, terrible Prosperity. I don't even know if he was main decking the Lightning Storm, but it's not going to matter. Horrible Banish, horrible Search. Was for Duality. Now this continuous spell is kind of a tricky one. Want to avoid this one. So he's going to cast it up. We're going to want to remove that as soon as there's a monster on field. So once he puts a monster on field, we're going to use Erupt, and we're also going to use a Apoc to pop the Disciples. Disciples removes the continuous spell, so we can't tribute summon off our cards. And then we just start picking apart the board, doing what True Draco does best. This is why Diagram is so important to the deck. I feel like it should be at more than one copy. Genuinely. I think it should be at multiples. But, hey, it is what it is. Maybe legalize Masterpiece. You could do that too. But yeah, we got that one. We got that one. Easy money. Easy money. Freebie. Moving on into the next game. We've got our opponent going first. He opens up with the Shifter as well. But his hand is like kind of booty. He grabs the map. He's going to reveal Stree, get Robinia. Yep. And this is going to facilitate the rest of the play, which makes sense. But just, you know, comparatively speaking, it's not the greatest hand. Now, yep, line up the M-Pen, bing, bing, bong, get the free search, get the free add. I still hate this deck so much, but I mean, it does put up a good amount of advantage. Look at that, bro. Just all the free cards. So free. Start our turn off with Duality, grab that evenly. Oh my goodness gracious, this is hilarious. Now, this is where he blows my mind. He searches an Earthbound Immortal, Rorschach Raska, okay? You know what? I'm actually going to pause here when he's going for the effect. I'll just explain it to you. It shuffles back cards he controls and then makes me... He basically loops cards out of my hand. And I was absolutely cooked at this point, especially after the twin. So I was like, oh man, you got me. Yeah, no way. No way. On one card? Yeah, good luck. Yeah, right, Logan. No way. No shot. He's getting absolutely obliterated here. There's no way in heck I win this one, though. Like, look at that. Oh, wait, but I top deck Desires. Yo, I'm talented. I'm pretty talented. I forgot about that one. Okay. Wow. And my draws were good too. Maybe I won this game. Did I win this one? No. I totally conceded. I wish. Oh yeah, because he was gonna rip the cards out again with the Earthbound guy, which is such a cool tech, by the way. Yeah, we opened Insane here. Set things up. We wanted the spell card face up. This was big, so we could take care of the continuous spell if he saw it again. Oh my god, look at his hand. He's got Feather Duster too. He's looking for like a second pop everything type card. You can tell he's digging for it. There's the Harpies. Big Judgment. Massive Judgment. He goes for the spell. Can't deal with it yet. Wait for there to be a monster on field, and this can be an exact replay of Game 1. Erupt, Apoc, pop Disciples, Disciples pop the spell, bing, bing, bong, bong, going for big damage, and we're just going to control the game. Control the game. Let him get this stuff, because it's giving us free stuff. That's how cool these cards are. Just keep on bringing on the freebies. I appreciate it. Thank you. Keep them coming. Ryza effect. M-Pen effect. Yep. There he goes. Grab that. Goes for another big Prosperity. Hits the twin. Uh-oh. Stinky. Now we're back in the fight here. He's going to leave us on only True Draco cards. Yeah. That's pretty good. But not that good when you can't do nothing with it. Now we go Disciples to shuffle back. He Ashes. We still get a Dynamite, which gives us Return, which you can use to start bringing cards back in case he outs our monster. So, of course, we're going to go Dynamite here to get another Apoc. a free pop when the time comes up. Eglin, Robinia. This is such a good match, honestly. This was a really good match. Robinia and Toucan. Search. Go for the M-Pen. Yep. That's going to do nothing, though. M-Pen's literally going to do nothing. Grabs the Advent and passes. So now we go for Disciples. It's actually going to resolve this time. Shuffle back 3, get our free draw. Yo, this is the card I was talking about that I was teching in at the time. Lord of the Heavenly Prisons. We played him like a champ. He goes for this in battle phase. On res, I get to use the Heavenly Prisoner in hand, so it's game. 55, baby. So we were testing this card. Of course, it was above the $100 budget, and I'll be honest, the reason why we settled on not playing it is because most of our cards end up face up anyway. Just in this one circumstance where it ended up that we got to go in for game with it. Now, mind you, I think we were still winning because we had Erupt in hand and all those trap cards lined up. We were absolutely fine. We could pop spells, pop traps, pop spells and traps, pop monsters, and negate all of his effects. I was not concerned in the slightest, but that was a cool way to clear out that game. Let's check out the next replay. Alright guys, for our last replay of this video, we're actually going to dive into Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, and it's a match against Live Twins, so without further ado, let's hop into it. You guys are going to get to see all the good stuff here. I'll show you all the games of the match, and you can kind of see how the list performs here. So obviously he went first. I'm just going to let him set up his board, and we can talk about it in a sec. Obviously goes for the Trouble Sunny, sets up the trap card. He's got Talents and Cross out. But we drew into a trap card, which is nice. Use that to pop the Trouble Sunny. Trouble Sunny tags out, but we get a free trap. He chains Droplets here to redeem, to negate. So he's actually set himself up pretty well here, because we're not going to get the free replace. But we have Terraforming. Can throw down a Mystic Mine. Save ourselves some time here and kind of just grind it out. Wait until we have enough cards to kind of play the game properly, right? Like, obviously this is a demonic card. We all saw how well it did at Nationals. And we've got more videos coming on Nationals decks, not just, you know, we've got videos coming on Drytron stuff, let's put it that way, alright? And I'll talk about my list, what things I would do differently in my list, and I'll talk about one of my favorite Drytron lists from the North American Nationals Championship Series, whatever you want to call it. Absolutely insane. But anyway, back to the duel at hand. I'm kind of just trying to fill time here, right? Because Mystic Mine is on field. How interesting is that, really? I just keep passing back and forth. Dude, I've got nothing to say otherwise that this is kind of boring gameplay. I apologize for subjecting you to it, but this is how you win sometimes, right? So he conceded game 1 just to the Mystic Mine. Let's check out the next game, alright? Alright guys, moving into game 2 here. This is me being weird, and I hit him with the Shifter. I don't know how good it really is in this matchup. And also our hand is not very strong at all, so we literally just set up the Shifter and pass. It turn skips for us, and then we line things up going with the diagram, the pop, search, get a free draw. Perfect. Dynamite goes in for that hot damage. Set the Erupt, pass turn, easy money. Look at it. He's got the Harpies. Oof, that's pretty tough. We get a free trap to hand. It's going to remove our Erupt, which we kind of needed. Line him up, and he gets the Talons back. The Kaiju, bro. Pretty crazy. And we see the Cosmic in hand, which means he already knows he's ready for this Demonic Mystic Mine. This is not looking too good for us. He's just going to climb on through and do his thing. He's got a Link Garibo lined up. Trouble Sunny. Yep, this is going to be massive damage. Not game, but massive damage. Yeah, it's going to be another 22 on top. And look at that hand. Holy smokes. Trouble Sunny again, of course. Again, just activate that. Set everything. Or, I didn't even set everything. Wow. Well, I was cooked there. Let's get into game 3. Alright guys, closing this out with game 3. You can see our hand here is pretty stellar. Starting things off with some pot. Get ashed. Dude, it just went from hot to absolutely not. We are in trouble here. So we have to pass it up. He's got names, but fortunately enough, the skill drain is going to come and put in the work, and this is going to be our stall card that gets us to where we need to be. He summons Link Rebo for no good reason, and oh, drawn to a double skill drain, totally dead. But he is kind of dead drawing too. He didn't even go in for 300, which I thought to be weird, but we dead draw again, and he dead draws again. Look at this, bro. This is the difficulty. We are literally just waiting for something to happen, and oh my god, he sees the out to the skill drain. For some reason, I choose to judgment that, but I'm pretty sure I had a second skill drain, which would have saved me more life points if I just let it go. So I'm going to take that as a biff on my part,
but it doesn't really matter here because we finally see a monster, which is going to let us actually get in some damage here. We're not overly committing to the field, but hey, I think we're actually absolutely fine here. We can go for the dynamite here, right, to trigger trap, and then shuffle back. Dude, this was going to be game because he was only at 49. That means we go in for the kill to finish it up. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video on this true Draco budget deck list. Be sure to try it out, it's real fun. And be sure to stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, especially if you guys want to see some content from the most recent North American Championship Series. And, you know, my deck list, more Drytron content, more everything content, budget lists, stuff like that. Let me know what you think about it. Anyway, I'm signing off. YuGiOh signing off. Have a great day. I will see you chumps later. Peace.
心の隙間埋め